You're one emergency away from being broke. And it's not because you don't make enough money, but it's because you start to prioritize looking good instead of being wealthy. And honestly, I think this is a huge problem that we're going through right now in America. Here's your reality check, because to be honest, a lot of Americans can't even afford a $1,000 emergency. So if you had a car repair, you weren't able to pay your rent or your mortgage for the month, majority of Americans are not able to actually handle that kind of financial emergency. A lot of things aren't financially crazy things to think about, like a car repair that costs $1,000 or $1,500. It's not a crazy amount of money, but a lot of people can't even handle that. Yet people are still financing cars on 5 or 6 year loan terms for $40,000, $50,000, paying all this money in interest. People are still prioritizing going on vacation and prioritizing spending money on frivolous things when they can't even afford a $1,000 emergency if something were to happen. The way they really can afford it is by putting it on a credit card, which we all know is not the best thing to do, because these credit cards have an interest rate of 30%. Why would we put our emergencies on a credit card? We cannot pay that off immediately, especially when these interest rates on these credit cards are super high. It's really a priority problem, because like I said before, people will spend all this money on a vehicle. They'll go to the car dealership, or they'll spend days or weeks researching a car or researching a house, but they won't take this time to actually look into their finances or take a deep dive into their finances on why they're living paycheck to paycheck. Why don't they have money at the end of the month? They don't take this time for these things because they don't prioritize their finances. They prioritize the other things. But your finances are just as important, and if not way more important than researching that new vehicle or putting all this time into trying to get the best vacation. Having your finances in order is super important. We honestly just spend more energy figuring out how to buy things than how to protect ourselves financially, and that's where an emergency fund comes into play. And one of the biggest problems is lifestyle inflation. I've talked about lifestyle inflation before because it's very important. It's basically you make more money, you spend more money. Because you make $100,000 a year, you're now spending majority of your $100,000 a year. So when you made that $50,000 a year, you weren't spending as much money because you didn't have it. But now that you make more money, you're spending more money, and this is a bad thing when it comes to your finance. So because you got a raise, you're gonna spend more money on a car payment. Because you got a raise, you're gonna buy that luxury apartment instead of that basic simple apartment. For example, we're looking at moving to a new state, and this state is way more expensive than Michigan. Maybe we've outgrown Michigan, it's time to move on, but we have the opportunity to look at luxury apartments, or we can look at the apartments that are still expensive, but they're not that luxury style apartment. So for us, maybe we can afford a luxury apartment. I personally don't think so, because I prioritize investing. Even though we are apartment searching, I still prioritize investing. So I'm going to look at those subpar apartments that are well within our budget or very close to the top of our budget, instead of looking at that luxury apartment and getting all those amenities that we would never even really use. People just buy more stuff. Because you make more money, you buy more stuff, so your income goes up on paper, but reality, month to month, you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you're wondering, where did the money go? Well, a lot of times the money went to the car or the house that you're in. So if your raise becomes a new payment, you're not getting richer, you're just getting more expensive. And we want to recognize this before it's too late. Another reason you're one emergency away from being broke is because of social media. The social media trap is real, and I've said this before, I fall for it too, but I'm getting better at recognizing the social media trap and not going with that. For example, I'll see people that bought a house. I don't know, I can't follow that social media trap. I gotta stay in my financial lane and realize that personal finances is personal. It's personal to you. Everyone's financial situation is different. Everyone sees the new cars, everyone sees the hauls, everyone sees the vacations, but no one sees the credit card debt. No one sees the person worrying how are they gonna pay for an emergency if it arises, because they spent all their money on these frivolous things. So try not to fall for that social media trap. I know it's easier said than done. You have to take a break from social media. And speaking about all these things makes me wonder what financial freedom really is. And it's not retiring at 45, it's not retiring at 35, it's not going on all the vacations that you want. It's having that freedom, having that air to breathe, having that gap between what you make and your expenses. To me, that is financial freedom, and it is very freeing when you realize you have $1,500 left over at the end of the month and you're not out here really living paycheck to paycheck. It's knowing that if your car were to break down, or if you have some major appliance that need to be replaced in your house, or some major fix, or something happened, that you have the money to actually do it. And this is why having an emergency fund is a great thing. Like, it really takes the pressure off your shoulders, because you realize you have $15,000 or $30,000 in your savings account. Now that's a lot of money to save, but you're able to do it if you actually focus and try to make more money and lower your expenses at the same time. It's a great feeling when you realize that you can fix a lot of problems with money if you're able to try to build this emergency fund. If you're able to get out of that $1,000 away from an emergency, then you'll feel more relaxed when it comes to your finances. You won't be as stressed anymore. It's really just knowing that you can handle a setback without going into debt, because like I said before, these interest rates are 30%, 15%, 20% on these credit cards. But if you know that you can handle an emergency without going into debt, that's a great feeling. You just continue to invest and continue to watch your net worth grow instead of watching it go down because you keep putting emergencies or big expenses on debt. And let's be honest here, some people just really don't make enough. And this is why putting your focus on education or trying to raise your income some way, somehow can be very beneficial to you. But once you raise that income, do not fall for the lifestyle inflation that I was talking about earlier, because that will put you in the same spot that you were in where you're making less money. And don't think just because you make a little bit of money that you're in this alone, because there's still people that make a lot of money and still living paycheck to paycheck. That's because every dollar they have is assigned to a debt or assigned to some high expense that is not really needed. So you may be wondering, what is your solution, Timothy? You're telling me all these things. What can I actually do today to fix this problem and not be $1,000 away from going broke or $1,000 away from a catastrophic emergency? So I would say that before you start worrying about being a millionaire, before you start worrying about being financially free, before you start worrying about what your next investment is going to be, before you start worrying about how much should I invest in SpaceX or how much I should invest into these different stocks that are showing up on my TikTok or that I'm seeing on the internet, you need to save $1,000 first. In order to not be $1,000 away from being broke, you need to have $1,000. So we need to save $1,000, whether that's to get a better job, whether that's to lower your housing expense, which is one of the easiest ways to save more money, which we've been doing. This house hack right behind me, literally been living in a house hack for 5 years for free, mortgage free for 5 years, and we've taken advantage of that by investing over $100,000 to our investment. At a rental property, we ended up actually selling it, but we had a rental property. We've been going on vacations. We've been actually enjoying that money too. We need to save $1,000 first. We need to lower our expenses, at the same time increase our income. So you can save that $1,000, or you can build enough money for 1 month worth of expenses. You need to get our bare bone expenses. That's rent, mortgage, whatever it is, utilities, phone bill, your debts, all that, and save up 1 month worth of expenses. So if something were to happen, you couldn't work or you got injured or something, you were out for a month, then your housing is taken care of. Your bills are taken care of. Your credit cards, your car payment, whatever you have is taken care of. Your kids, your family is taken care of because you have at least 1 month worth of expenses. And then we're going to start paying off credit cards. We're going to start getting out of credit card debt. If you don't have credit card debt, then we're going to build that to a 3 or 6 month emergency fund. Maybe even a 12-month emergency fund, because right now times are rough and we just don't know what's going to happen next. So we want to make sure that we're protected and have an emergency fund. And this emergency fund is not to be invested. We're going to put this into a high yield savings account. I have a link to Ally Bank down below. That's my high yield savings account. Honestly, we're just building your foundation before we start building wealth. And this is what I've been doing for the last 6 years, building that foundation, building those saving habits, building those investment habits, and now we're seeing the fruit of our labors as our investments have exploded. That's also because the market explodes at times, but we're also just continuing to contribute. We're continuing to delay gratification in certain areas. It's literally just a habit now, like saving, investing, automatically doing these things. It's a habit. It's done automatically. I don't even think about it. I don't even blink when I'm like, okay, we're doing $700 a paycheck to our investments, or we're doing $1,000 a paycheck to our investments. It doesn't even like affect me anymore because this money has been out of my hands for at least 2 years now. It's gone. It's not even in my mind. I know that I'm doing it for a good reason, because I'm saving for my future self. Future Timothy is going to be very grateful and very happy. Past Timothy, or me right now, was saving and sacrificing for you, Timothy, in the future. This is kind of a good way to look at it, as you're saving for your future self, and your future self is going to thank you. But at the end of the day, the goal is to not look rich, is to actually be rich, be wealthy, feel that financial freedom, feel that financial stress literally just come off your shoulders. And the goal is really to be financially secure, because when an emergency happens, and eventually it will, the people that are prepared will not be panicking, while the people that aren't prepared will be stressing the crap out. Let's not be $1,000 away from broke. Let's be $15,000 away from broke. Let's be 30. Let's be $100,000 away from broke. Because if you're $100,000 away from broke, then you're more than likely not going broke. So let me know what you guys think about that video. Just something I've been thinking about. Like, some people are really $1,000 away from being broke. Like, look at the stats. I think it's like 60% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, or don't have $1,000 for an emergency. It's absolutely insane, which means they're $1,000 away from being broke. $1,000 away from potentially being on the street, because you can't really pay rent or mortgage on a credit card. So if something were to happen where you weren't bringing enough income to pay your mortgage, you could literally be $1,000 away or even $2,000 away from being on the streets. So just an interesting thing that I've been thinking about. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And also check out the links in the description. They're just ways to save money, especially that Mint Mobile. Like I'm telling you guys, Mint Mobile is the way to go. Why are you paying $140 for a phone bill? It makes no sense to me. When you pay $60, $30 a month for one phone, $60 for two. That's what we're doing. And it's been great. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.